Seriously? Someone's saying I would probably want to put some hot sauce on a banana? Like, why? That's just torture. But on the other hand, I guess I gotta give what my fans want. Let's see how this is gonna be. Probably ain't gonna be pretty either. Gotta love my precious long locks. Yeah, for a guy, I got some really nice long hair. Like, my hairdresser always used to say that she loved guys with long hair, and that always meant that I already knew that if I go get a haircut, she's not gonna take a risk with me and then try something I'm gonna regret. It's like, do you want the usual? Which always meant 2 inches off the top, and then I knew I was good to go. Yeah, well protected. And even if it's going gray, I'm keeping it. I want to preserve the look as long as I can. Okay, maybe I got sidetracked there for a second. I don't think I'm going to be going for a haircut anytime soon since everything's going to be closed now. Because apparently, taking care of your hair is not considered an essential service. Meanwhile, if you want to get a bottle of Jack's or if you need to smoke a little bit, then that's essential service too. I don't know how they decide that kind of stuff, but that's probably a soapbox that's not worth going on. So, on to the subject of today. I always feel like the best kind of cooking is the one that takes some simple ingredients, it's very basic, but it's also going to be very filling and very delicious all at the same time with just a few seasonings. And I was thinking about that earlier when I was thinking of some good Italian pasta. Because one of my buddies always says, like, how do you eat pasta plain all the time? And I always end up getting shit for it. And I was wondering if there was a good recipe I could use today just to get so-and-so off my back. And I remembered that partly because I was in Italy last year, I was thinking about it, but also thinking back to another recipe I'd made that was, when I was a kid, it was like pasta with a carbonara sauce. Of course, back when I was thinking about carbonara as a kid, it was always that instant package that you fill with water or milk or whatever, and then it becomes all creamy, or something in a pre-made meal. It was only in the last few years I learned exactly what a carbonara sauce is. Obviously, it does involve a salty pig, so it's already got a +1 for me. But it is a really basic thing to do. And I'm thinking, for my supper tonight, I'm going to go back to Italy and do a little carbonara sauce. Stay tuned. Well, I guess I could get some simple steps out of the way first. So I got a giant saucepan over here to start boiling my pasta. What you're going to need is around 1 pound of spaghetti in order to get this one done. Luckily, I have a pack over here that I got in bulk. This is 500 grams, which is like a little bit more than 1 pound, but it should get the job done. Sun-dried pasta is good, but I'll admit, when I was in Italy last year, I kind of got spoiled about having a lot of the fresh pasta that was made on the spot. Like, the stuff is so soft and melts in your mouth, and on top of that, when you're cooking fresh pasta instead of dry pasta, rather than 8 minutes, it's a matter of minutes, so it's really quick. And also, it's very satisfying too, like it really fills you up. People say that about pasta, but I found out a lot about some stuff when I was in Europe. Because my understanding, based on what people have said living there, there's a lot of rules about food with what you could put in additives, like what other ingredients that they will not accept. It's got to be really fresh stuff. So it's almost like you could have less food over there than over here, but you're also going to get much more filling and satisfied at the end. Almost like, I guess, the concept of less empty calories. Sort of like a croissant. Sure, A croissant may be heavy in butter, but at least you know it's natural butter and not whatever chemical additives are going to be in there. Well, let's get this started. And then the next part to do the sauce actually involves something that I was aware of, but I just wasn't aware of how much I would need. It's going to involve eggs, but this recipe actually calls for overall 6 eggs. But bloody hell, that's a lot. Well, actually, what it calls for is 4 large egg yolks and 2 whole eggs that you're going to whip up all together. So it means I'm going to have like a good 4 eggs worth of egg whites. I'm not going to want to put that to waste, so I think I'm going to be cooking that up later on and then just warm it tomorrow for breakfast. It'll be all said and done for me. So what I think I'll do next is I'll do the egg whites. I'm going to get those out and then put the yolks. That way at the end, I don't have to think too much and just put the whole eggs. Now, there's a trick to this. Usually you're supposed to... let's go in here. You're supposed to have like these tools that will help you separate it. But something I learned in the past just involved switching around from one half of the shell to the other. And that would kind of let you filter it out. And then once that's all gooped out, you have your egg yolk. Whoops. Actually, I did the reverse. Dough. Sometimes you just can't win. So I mean, I'm going to actually have a lot less to work with now. Actually, hold on. I'm going to put the egg white with the yolk. So now... Oh wait, did I have it right the last time? I guess I'm kind of lost. Probably working up in my attic today kind of messed up with my head. But I'm making good progress with it. Lots done. And I start feeling like I'm getting so close to the end that I may be able to vlog that project. Didn't want to do it from start to finish because it's a big mess and I didn't know how to get my camera up there. Okay. Okay, I realized my mistake. I was supposed to put the egg white here, then keep the yolk on the other side. So I had it right the first time. There. It's done. So one... Yeah, I never thought this was so egg intensive. And I'm keeping it on my pot so it doesn't start steaming up without me being alert. Oop, this one didn't come out as well. Yeah. I'm going to put a partial egg white in here. I don't think anyone's going to kill me for getting the recipe slightly off. Let's keep on going. And my pot looks like it's going to be ready to steam up soon. Better get the salt ready soon for that. Okay, all those egg whites are ready. So let's get the yolk in. Now I don't have to think for this last step. Just put the last egg in. There. That is all said and done. I'm going to wash my hands, then I'm going to get to the next step. So one trick I learned that I didn't think about before was that once it starts to steam up, you can put the lid on it, and that's actually going to help it boil a lot better. But first, I'm going to have to salt this up. Apparently this takes about 3 tablespoons of salt. And they say kosher salt too, which I guess kind of makes sense, because a teaspoon is not enough, especially for the amount I'm going to be putting in here. And because I don't have kosher salt, I'm just going to use coarse sea salt. It may not be the same thing, but in the end, salt is salt, and it's going to flavor it up. There, 3 here. Now, let's get a lid on this. Found it. So then it's going to start boiling up, hopefully very soon. Okay, turns out I only need to do it for about 6 minutes instead of 8 like on the packaging. It's recommended that I wait 2 minutes before it's done before I start throwing everything together. But first, let's get the salty pig in. Now it's up to you what you would want to use this for. You can use bacon, or you could go full Italian and go for pancetta. And I got a few good slices of this at the store today. Kind of thick also. Looks a bit like this. I haven't had much of this since Italy, or especially if I've gone to Sophia's for a bit of pizza. Sophia's is a really good pizzeria on the South Shore, and they do delivery also during these times. So if you do want quality, go there. And if you can't have gluten, they also make a really good gluten-free pizza as well. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting these up into little strips. And then once that's done, I am going to whip up the eggs, season those up, and then get started on the next step as the pasta is going to be cooking up. You can do like 1 inch and a quarter or whatever. I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to do it as small cubes. In the end, it's going to get cooked and delicious. It doesn't matter how big they are. Okay, just a little above 6 minutes, and now my pasta's set. All my pancetta is all sliced up. So the next step I'm going to be doing is adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil to a giant stock pot to get this bacon all cooked up. My recipe called for a Dutch oven, which is like one of those few tools that I don't really have available in the kitchen. Maybe I should look into that eventually if I think I'm going to be putting it to good use. So oil this up. You're going to put this on medium heat in order to crisp up your pancetta. While I'm doing that, I should finally get my eggs whipped up, because I haven't been doing that since I was trying to worry about cleaning up everything else, making sure it was under control, and etc. But hey, what can you do? Okay, while this is being done, I'm going to start whipping some eggs. Doesn't have the same funny visual as whipping potatoes. Like I would think that if you're whipping potatoes, they're going to yell out in pain at you and start fighting back. Whipping eggs, they're kind of fragile. They're just going to fall apart. So just keep going with this until you have no more streaks apparently. And then after that, ground a little bit of pepper and then add some Parmesan cheese into there. Like maybe around 2 ounces apparently. I'm just going to play it by ear. There. So this should be your consistency for the eggs. And now for something completely different. Oops. Monty Python flashback again. I'm just going to take my pepper grinder and add a few streaks, or a few strokes to get it a bit of a kick. And here we are. And then next, we are going to add some shredded Parmesan cheese. I think this is heated up well enough. Time to get this ham all cooked in. Okay, nothing yet, but I'm just going to start stirring it. Just keep going with this until it's crisp on the edges, and then you can scoop it out, keep it aside for a bit later. So, getting close to about 10 minutes in, and this ham should be ready to remove very soon. Obviously with the combination of the oil and the fat that was in there, you will have some residual, but that can be removed and then reused for some of the cooking then. As for the rest of my stuff, the spaghetti has been fully drained into a colander, kept aside for a bit later, and I actually was able to take out some cooking liquid from that before I had drained it. So overall I got about 1 cup and 3/4 cup kept aside. There will be a reason for that a bit later. And here is my egg mixture with the cheese and the pepper. That's going to come into play very shortly. Alright, now that that's done, time to get this all scooped out. Keep this here. There, this looks like it crisped up really well too with these thick pieces. I could probably use thinner ones, then it will cook a bit faster. Typically it should take about 7 to 10 minutes to get this done well. Make sure I get every single piece, because I do not want it to go to waste, obviously. Salty pig is best not to waste, of course. Have this here. Gonna remove this from the heat temporarily, and then... You know what? This is actually perfect, because the amount of fat I would have needed was about 2 tablespoons from it, and the rest discarded. This looks like it's just enough, so I'm gonna get this started once again. Alright, now that's still heated up, it's on medium-high heat, and I'm going to take this bowl here, which has around 1 cup of the cooking liquid from the pasta. Yep, it's gonna simmer and steam like that. And now I wanna bring this to a boil before I get to the next step, which is putting in the pasta after this to stir it around. It's hard to tell with the steam here in the camera, but it looks like it's starting to bubble, so that means it's time to get the pasta in. Let's move this here. I'm really starting to get adept at trying to cook with one hand while recording all this. Not bad, but maybe eventually I should get some kind of good straps to hold this in place to my body. It would be like having a full body camera. Okay, now that the pasta's in, you just have to stir it into the oil and the liquid mixture. And it takes you about 2 minutes to do that. And while we're doing that, I still have 3/4 cup of the cooking liquid from the pasta. So I'm gonna add that in to my egg mixture here. There, 1/2 cup, and I'm gonna whisk it in. Because once this is ready in 2 minutes, the next step would be add this egg to give it the saucy texture. Everyone loves saucy, salty pig. Well, I like saucy bird too, but we're not gonna get into that. Okay, it's been a bit over 2 minutes, and most of the water looks like it's gone down now. It means it's now time for the next step to add my egg mixture. This you want to do very slowly. And the idea here is that you want to keep whisking this until the egg gives you a creamy texture and all the cheese that's in here is melted. Oops, still have some leftover cheese. So once again, 2 ounces of cheese, which is not too much cheese to reference my last vlog. And to give you the other measurement, it's basically 1/4 cup of Parmesan. There, let this stir up and then let it thicken up. Let's look at this. Yep, you have a glossy texture and the cheese looks like it's fully melted. So that's a pretty good sign that this is ready. So you go for the next step, which is the remainder of your pasta liquid. You're not going to add it all in at once. You're doing it a little bit at a time, just to give it a bit of a thickness too. Of course, you probably won't need to use all of this. Once it's to your liking, then the rest could just be poured out. And then that should be good. And then the only other final touch would be adding back the ham. So then you have your full pasta carbonara. Okay, that smells heavenly. It's like having breakfast and pasta. This texture is supposed to look like a heavy cream in the end, which is why you may not need to use all of that liquid. It's more like a backup, just in case. And add a little bit more. I'm just going to use this all. May as well put it to use. And whatever I don't use, it's just going to evaporate. And then next, the bacon. Yeah, that was not bad at all. It's a little bit salty. Yeah, it was so good I actually decided to go for a small second helping of it. Because despite the fact they say this could be made for 4 servings, I feel like I could get much more mileage out of that too. Especially if I'm not having too much. But not bad. It really takes me back to my days in Italy. And then I guess to go for the full experience, I'm not having a brew today. That's coming later when I'm going to be zooming with some of the guys. Now what I got was a little bit of Italian sparkling water, like the blood orange beverage. This one I kind of liked. I thought it would have fit the vibe over here and make me think back to my trip. I do remember one day in Rome when I was in a restaurant, sitting on a terrace, I thought, let's go get a drink for myself. Normally I like to have something like a glass of water on the side when I'm having a meal. And then, as usual, they ask you for water and they'll ask sparkling or flat. So when I said I just wanted flat, because I thought just some plain water was fine, the waiter actually brought over a bottle of plain water to me, and I thought, oh boy, I'm probably paying for this, aren't I? And and of course, like I had expected, it ended up on my bill. And I feel like that it would have been around the same price for that full bottle of water as I would have paid for like a pint of beer or maybe a glass of wine. But then I have one Dutch friend that says that beer is a hydrate, it's better than water. I'm sure he's just busting my chops whenever he says that. But you know what? Satisfactory, good for a first time of carbonara this way. And as for the remaining egg whites, I just added some milk, made some scrambled egg whites, put it aside in the fridge, and then I'll just warm it up. So I have my breakfast for tomorrow. So everyone, thank you for watching another edition of Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe. If you like what you see as usual, you can hit the subscribe button below to get any new updates. Hit a like, leave a comment, leave me some suggestions if ever you want a new recipe for me to cover. And above all else, spread the cheese. We all need more cheese in life.